This is the latest DVD from the Lusk Heritage Group to present for general interest a showing of the machinery, implements and tools of our farming past. In the farmyards and fields of North County Dublin and countrywide, the long innings of the horse as the main source of power ended. The variety of tractors and implements produced by Henry Ford, Massey Ferguson and others took over. The horse and the ploughman were rested. The machinery they used put aside reluctantly. A major change was beginning. I would now like to hand you over to Jim Monks.
Isn't it great to live in a country where fresh food is always available? Without thinking about it, we always have meat, potatoes and 3 veg to hand. Not a bit like countries down the road where famine and war are constant visitors. No, Ireland is a food country, it's a food island. And we produce it, no carbon miles, no trips from New Zealand or Mexico or anywhere you like to mention. It's here now, and it's ready for your table, as fresh as a daisy. Wasn't always the case, of course. We had our famine, and I think that might be some of the reason why we're so concerned about food for tomorrow, food for today, everything like that. You'll find a plough in somebody's garden. You'll find something restored and painted and decorating the outside of a pub. But it is brought to its absolute extreme by Michael Hoy. Over here at Rathmooney, Michael Hoy of Country Crest, some of the finest vegetables produced and sold in supermarkets. Michael has done more than enough. He has excelled himself with regard to collecting some of the machinery, some of the old tractors, the combines, the stuff that could have disappeared into the scrap industry. And it's a huge credit to Michael to see the money he has spent, the time he has given, but most of all, the fanaticism which he displays about collecting this, which is as much our history as the GPO.
Now, what's your height?
12.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
Dan, mind your head, Dan.
Yeah, we don't care about the head.
As long as the exhaust is okay. Well, we need that first, James. This is cartridge,
Right,
like shotgun cartridge. And there's a lot more powder in it. In there. Jane, who has the lighter? That's paper with saltpeter on it.
Okay.
And you light it and it's smouldering in there now.
Okay.
Dan, you right?
Hold on, wait,
Just get the hammer now.
Okay, this is Paul Daniels here.
Yeah.
My name's Jo Roberts. I live in North Wales and I write magazine articles for various rural heritage publications like Tractor and Farm Collector in America. And I've come over here this weekend, here to Michael Hoy's tractor collection to have a look round all of the tractors that he's got here. It's amazing. They're all so well restored. They actually look like new tractors, and you know, they've all got new tyres. They all run. He's gone to an incredible amount of trouble, and it's very important to be preserving what is part of our British agricultural history. So many of these machines that are here were made in Britain. Something we probably took for granted at the time, but now Britain doesn't make much of anything. It's very important that we preserve these for future generations. The scrap values have increased, and sadly a lot of it will have gone to scrap. And sometimes it's been worth more in scrap value than it has to collectors. So a lot of it has been lost. That's why it's so important to preserve what we've already got. He's gone to a lot of trouble and a lot of expense. His attention to detail in making sure everything's accurately restored is incredible, and just the shed space that he's dedicated to these machines. Obviously, if they were left outside, they're not going to preserve like they are indoors. So he's gone to a lot of trouble to house them.
My name is Quinn Jones. I'm from Anglesey, North Wales, and I've been up to Mullaher to the ploughing match over the weekend, and now on my way home I'm at Michael Hoy's. My interest in ploughing stems back to my father was a farmer, and I can remember the old ways of farming. Luckily, I'm very glad to be able to say that. The younger generation today, they don't know what much of stuff is. Again, in my time as a youngster, the local lads used to come pick spuds. My father used to grow 40 acres of new potatoes. And at school holidays, the kids were coming there to pick potatoes, and they could see everything that was working. Of course, that today is mechanized. It doesn't happen the same way. This setup is amazing. There is no other word to describe it. On the way here, I was trying to tell the lads with me what to expect, but I just couldn't. Once we got here, they were blown away.
Okay, Tom Clinton has been farming out here for more years than I'm going to tell you. How are you, Tom?
How are you, Jim? Yeah, nice to meet you.
Not so many years that at all, really, when it comes to the crunch, a young fella like you.
On my side, and there is on
But
yours, Jim.
that's okay, I'm going to try and keep it that way. But you had a tractor like this one here behind me, the Leyland 2100. What decided you to get a Leyland tractor? Because they're not everybody's cup of tea.
Well, I had the previous Leyland, the previous model to this, but I found with the forage harvester, they were a bit short on the grunt. You know, she had more power. You know.
Good enough. And did you keep it for long?
I had it for, I don't know, 5 years.
That's good enough for now, all right, because British Leyland wasn't.
I don't change them too often, Jim.
Good thinking, all right, farmers can't afford to do that sort of thing. But definitely British Leyland didn't have a great name when it applied to the car. There was a lot of roadside assistance.
Yeah. Well, I was surrounded with Massey Fergusons and everything else, and just, you know, just to kind of be kind of different, maybe just a bit, you know, I don't know.
Yes,
but so just it attracted me, you know, like, because it is, you want to look at it, it's a gorgeous looking tractor, you know.
Fine big sturdy yoke, and this one looks better than it did when it was new.
I knew, it is, it is,
tell you,
yeah.
credit to Michael.
Oh,
that's
it's unbelievable now, really.
Definitely the
way
case.
he has
Would you step up on it again there, like a shot, and take it out? Would you take it out there if you got a chance?
Yeah, take it out, right.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Tom.
Aidan Arnold would like to share some of his memories of the old hay rake.
If I keep this painted over, you know, even every second year or even every third year, this will last my lifetime and maybe my children's lifetime as well, because they don't make them like this anymore. Just let me say that I'm sitting on a machine here in North County Dublin that I would have pulled out of a hedge about 30 years ago. And this machine started in my life in the 1950s, when I remember it being put into that ditch, because at that stage it was the horses were leaving the farms. The horses would have left my farm in around 1955, and then this was a horse-drawn machine. This piece down here was where the horses backed into it. So this machine was parked, and it was parked in the field where it did its last job. This is a hay rake. It's a horse-drawn hay rake, and I'll explain. It's a very simple machine. Basically, there's on both sides there's a little adjustment to see how far these rakes can go up and down, and then the horse pulled it along. It dragged the hay into piles, and when there was enough hay underneath it, it lifted up like that. The hay dropped out the back and it came back down again. That left large piles of hay around the field. And then people came along with hay forks and they combined these into haycocks. So maybe there might be 5 of these piles of hay, and they, in the middle of those 5, they'd carry the hay from all of those, and they'd build a haycock, depending on the size of your haycock. It could be 5, it could be 10. So that was what this machine did. Okay, as a child, I have a lot of early memories of running around in the hay fields, of sliding up and down the haycocks, and later when I was a larger child, of being in the hayfield making those haycocks as well, and it was hard work. But during all of that time, this machine was in the corner. It was sitting tucked in against the hedge, and it was just there. And we had 8 in the family, and the lads used to love coming down and getting up on it and sitting on this and playing with the mechanisms of it. And then slowly but surely, as we grew older and wiser, the briars started growing as well, and they grew gradually over this machine. I would have been going up and down the lane on tractors in those years, and I always knew this machine was there. After a while you could just barely see it, and then you couldn't see it at all, and it was gone. But I always knew it was there. I broke down the briars, I got a tractor with a fork, and I lifted this machine out of the ditch, and I brought it up here and I placed it here. At that stage it was in very, very poor repair. You'll probably see, if you look closer, some of the spokes were really been eaten through with rust. It was brown, but nevertheless the material was an amazingly strong material, so it was still basically solid. So I got these people, and they, with their machines, they sandblasted it down so that it was clean as a whistle. Clean as a whistle though meant that immediately I had to put paint on it, because then I was allowing the elements to get in. If I'd left that even for a few weeks, then the rust would have really attacked this machine in a far worse way than nature had attacked it over the years. You know, this to me has a real value. This to me is part of a childhood, it's part of growing up, and it's part of maybe understanding where we moved from the horse to the tractor, and that to some people nowadays this might be scrap value. In real value, it's in the memories, in the heritage, and it's in what it means to me, and not just to me. I mean, my children now look in awe at this thing and wonder what it is too. And hopefully I can instill into them an understanding of what was in the past and what brought us to where we are today. So to me, that's what this means.
We are very grateful to Sean Quinn, curator of the Mainalty Steam Threshing Museum, who shed some light on the operation of old farm machinery.
This is a corn drill. It was used for sowing corn, oats, barley and wheat, and it was drawn by 2 horses. It took 2 good horses to pull it. The corn went in here into the box, and it was fed then out through down through the chutes here. The chutes are just now on at the moment. It was fed down through the chutes and into the spouts, and it was put into the ground. It had put it deep into the ground. You could set it here and sow it heavy or light, or whatever amount of corn you wanted, however amount of seed you wanted to put into the ground, you could control it there. And this lever was for letting the spouts up or down into the ground. You lifted them out of the ground when you came to the end of the field. And here on this side here, there was